Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Come on, come all! All are welcome in our Christmas. Let's see if Rumble's going to work for us here tonight. It should be. I had it on. Let's see. All right, all right. Come on, Rumble. You going to work for me here or what? Oh boy, I see it. I know there's a 15-second delay, but come on, Rumble. Don't friggin' screw it up again. Jeez, man. All right, well, it looks like I don't get why Rumble just can't work. I do it the way it tells me to do, and for some reason it just can't work, man. I don't get it, everybody. Oh, there we go. Hey, Rumble. Okay, just take some time. That is weird. Hey, Bruce, Kenny, retired, Kevin, Pulverizer. Pulverizer is listening to his Pink Floyd saying, "Oh, Pink Floyd, you're so handsome." Oh. Timothy Deck. Timothy is on deck. Randy in Kentucky. Right on, man. Looks like so far so good. Good crowd, good crowd. Appreciate y'all being here. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It is, I want to say, about, last I checked, Dawn, it was 22 or something like that. Right now in Milton, it's 24, and it feels like 17. All right. It's going to get down to tonight. It will get down to about 17. That's not a wind chill. Michael, right? Andrew, hey, Andrew, what's going on? And that's straight up crazy. Is the worst storm ever in Buffalo. They still got people stranded on the highways and stuff, according to their fantastic governor Katie, or whatever her name is, Kathy. I can't believe she won. I can't believe it. And she's from Buffalo. Yeah, right on. Steve is in Steve, where are you from, Maine, are you, man? And where are you in Maryland? So right now you're in Maryland for the holiday, and he's from Maine. So tell me more. Andrew, I know. We got him. Dan is Pacific Northwest. Bot Tweed. Boston. Yeah, I saw the Pack won today, and so they're 7-8, and they're coming back, man. Yeah, you guys keep saying 12 degrees here or 20 going to 12, but we don't know where that is. You got to say where that is. If memory serves, Andrew's in Ohio, if memory serves. We got Chicken Charlie here, but Joe Cannon, I don't know where you're coming in from. Had a good conversation with my mom today. My mom says I should go to law school. She read one of my books. She goes, Renee, all right, I remember Renee. Northern Minnesota, -9 tonight. Yeah, that's fantastic. And just think if we didn't have fossil fuels. I mean, just can people think about this? Like look, I don't like big oil any more than anybody else does. But I mean, the facts are we need we're not going to get nuclear just up tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's it boggles my. I had a guy today just post on. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Let me just read it. Do I have my glasses? Yeah. I mean, Jeff says it's 7 degrees in Arizona. Yeah. I just want to read you this comment. I mean, I was like, dude, I get it. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm like, just hold on a second. It's these people are so tied into the solar system that they can't think outside of their current realm of using solar. So hold on just a second. I'm gonna let's see here. I'm not gonna be able to find it anyway. Oh man, not be fine. But it's like, hey, I've had 15 years of solar, and I'm getting all the I don't know what he said. I can't solar and wind and what I can't remember what he said. But it's like, dude, no one's saying it can't work on a individual basis with a battery bank. It can't work without batteries. It's just if you think your solar panels are going to provide off grid and your grid tied, you're just wrong. You need a battery bank or you need a backup of something. It's just there's no getting around this. You are not going to have solar in a cold weather without some kind of battery bank. Or I got Jacksonville, Florida, 35 degrees, right on. It looks like the Jaguars are doing well too. All right on. It's not going to happen. And you're not going to get a heat economy for just your house on solar in any kind of northern climate. It's just not going to happen. I mean, can you have enough battery power? It's going to take a hell of a lot of batteries, man. I mean, if you have a battery, all right, and look, I don't even know what the deep cycle batteries are. Freaking, how many? 150 amp hours or something like that. Off the top of my head, I don't know. That's going to do you for, let's see, 150 amp hours. So if you ran something for with 1 amp, and Andrew knows this. So a regular horsepower is about 750 watts. All right, so I'm not gonna be able to figure this out in my head. Anyway, long story short, if you have 150 amp hours, all right, on a battery, and you run a piece of equipment that is 1 amp, and if it's for 1 amp would run you on a 120 volt, that's I'm not gonna be able to get the math done in my head. But anyway, there's an easy way you figure it out for watts that's on the load. I don't feel like bringing my head on this because long story short, that means you can run that battery for 150 hours, 1 amp. All right, 1 amp. That's it. 150 hours before it needs to get refilled with electricity. All right, so if you think about it, you got 1 amp that's going to run you 150 amp hours, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what the watts are. It's an easy calculation. Yeah, so 750 watts is 1 horsepower, exactly. All right, so we can slowly figure out how much our load is taking to get the amount of amps it's taking, so we can figure this out, and how many amp hours is your battery. You're not going to be able to run your entire house on batteries alone. It's not, and never mind just solar without a battery. It's not going to happen. To say this doesn't mean someone says, "Oh, but I do it all the time." Oh my goodness! If you're grid tied, you're doing it all the time because you're taking off the grid and you're pushing it back on. I don't get why in Maine right now they don't even want any more solar. They have too much coming in from a certain because there's too much voltage. They have too many people with their solar putting electricity back into the grid. They can't take it. It's too big of a volt, too much voltage. So they say, we're not going to tie. You're not going to be tied to the grid anymore. If you're putting solar, we're not going to approve your panels on your home. At least that's tied to the grid. If you want to be off grid, that's fine. But we're not going to be here for you. Can we stop this? If someone says this reality means you're anti-solar. No, I'm not. I can't wait to have solar. 100%. I will have solar battery bank. And I'll have some other source to heat my house as well. And I certainly don't plan on being off grid. I'll use the freaking evil as far as I can. And when I say evil, the cabal, you see what I'm saying? I'll absolutely be grid tied with the battery back, with propane, with wood stove, the whole thing. But you're not going to run a full economy on this. It's freaking insane. I just don't get how big is a battery pack? Exactly. And so you can figure out if I need, I don't know, you can figure stuff out. It's been about probably a year since I actually dived into it. But if you're running, let's say you're running 60 kilowatt hours a day, so that's 60 kilowatt hours a day. Is that 6,000 watts? Yeah, right. No, it's 60,000, 6 kilowatt hours, 60 kilowatt hours a day is 6,000 watts. And you can solely divide that into, and you get how much you need for a battery back without question. Now that includes running things that you probably should not run on your batteries, which is a blow dryer, which is any kind of heating thing. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to run that stuff off batteries. It's stupid. Don't do that. You can do this. It's not going to happen for the economy. So people hear like solar's not going to work. They're like, but I'm running my house on solar. I'm like, oh my goodness. No one's saying you can't run your house on solar. We're saying the entirety of the economy is not going to run on solar and wind. After all it's just the math. Like, and people always say, but they'll say how smart they are with math with Einstein with special relativity. And I say, you're not going to run the economy on solar. And the same people say they're so smart because math. And I'm like, the math isn't there. It's not there. It'll never be there. We spent so much money on the subsidizing of this, and yet we're still global. 5% of total energy, not electricity, energy, comes from non-hydrocarbons. And I can't remember if that's nuclear or not. I can't remember, but maybe we'll call it renewables. It's insane, dudes. 5% of entirety of the world's energy comes from, we'll just say renewables. And I don't even know how much that renewable is considered biomass. Now, biomass is a very controversial renewable because we know what they're doing in England. They used to have this Drax coal mine, all right, Drax, DRAX, that they got rid of coal because coal's evil. And they took it on renewables. How are they getting renewables? They're taking trees from virgin forests in here in the South, shipping them via a diesel fueled ships to England, and they're using that for biomass. That's biomass, renewable. It is renewable. I mean, trees are renewable, 100%. But let's not pretend that's the same thing as I just put up these clean and pretty solar panels. It's freaking so dumb. I just saw there's another place in Maine. They're having right on, a shed full of the Tesla batteries. Let's see. Batteries outside in the doghouse, good for night, daytime solar charge. Yeah, you're not going to. Right, again, you can run a house on solar. No one's saying you can't. You're not going to run an economy on solar. It's impossible. It's impossible. You're not going to run an economy on solar and wind. It's impossible. Is there an exception to the rule? And again, we're just going to, I didn't even want to go down this, but I'm going to because I think it's so critically important. We're going to go to Solar Warrior, and you can look up this guy, solarwarrior.com, and see for yourself. And see, and you look, don't believe me. Believe the people who've done it for years and years and years. Oops, what happened? There we go. Not just me. Don't listen to your buddy Josh. And what the hell do I know? You know what I'm saying? I'm just a caveman. Not much energy needed while people are sleeping. Yeah, you need energy. It's called heat. Okay. Anyway, so let me show you this solarwarrior.com. And here's an example of a guy who does it. Oops. And they've been doing it for a long time. But I'm going to show you the size of the solar array. Yeah, that's their solar array right there. All right, look at that. You know how much that costs? You know how much space that takes for one house and that's in California, by the way. Look at the size of that thing. Look at this. That's not putting 8 panels on your freaking rooftop. It's not, dudes. Look at that. It was a great site. I'm a big fan of it. They got a running ticker that you can kind of see how much it uses. It's fun. I enjoy this very much because I like the idea. The problem is until we get batteries, and we're not going to get batteries anytime soon. People talk about their Tesla power walls and all this stuff. It's you cannot, dude. You cannot run the country on solar. Maybe some. Okay, all right. At least he said maybe someday. We got to stop this pretending you can't. You can't. And once again, for the 20,000th time, Jimmy Carter in 1978. By the year 2000, this is in the Wall Street Journal, we expect to be able to run 20% of the U.S. energy on solar. Jimmy Carter said that in 1978. 20% of U.S. energy, not just on electricity, entirety of U.S. energy. And it's not me saying that. I'm bring it up here. It's silly on its face. And I do think the people in charge know this, man. Second. Let's see if I can't find the thing here. It's so freaking stupid. It's embarrassingly stupid that people think this can happen. And it's the reason I say it's stupid because there's no reason for ignorance in this anymore. We know it ain't gonna happen. And I'm not gonna find it. Anyway, you just have to trust me. I have I don't know if I can share the screen if it's not a yeah, probably I could put Jimmy Carter, Wall Street Journal, solar. Just hold on a second. See if I can't find it. Let's go to image now. Man, come on. Anyway, I'm not gonna be able to find it. That's too bad. I got it saved in my stack of stuff, if you will. I don't think I can share it with I don't think I can share it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right, this I didn't mean to be a diatribe against solar because I'm not against solar, folks. I like it. I can't wait. Yeah, nuclear is the answer, but it doesn't. You can't just put nuclear up tomorrow. This whole thing is freaking. So what I think is happening. I did my video on this today. They're oh, but I did see. I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah, we just look, man. It's not gonna happen. Does that mean we don't have solar? No, actually, I saw a pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good idea. Actually, they were saying use parking lots uh, for solar arrays. I said that's actually a pretty good idea. I mean, it's going to be a god awful expensive, but I think that's actually a great idea. Use because you can't grow stuff on. The people think we can farm in the solar farms. No, you can't. You can't. You're not going to be able to farm, and people say, "Well, we're doing it with potato." Oh, just come on, that's freaking stupid. But if we can do, I thought it was a pretty good idea. We have all these parking lots, parking garages, put those for solar panels under there. I thought, over top of that, I think it's actually a great idea. How much that costs, all that, I don't know. The logistics don't know. But you're not, but instead of taking these so beautiful, beautiful pieces of waste is not an issue with nuclear, folks. Stop this, New Kenny. It's not. There is no concern about nuclear waste. It's not. It's a fallacy. It's just not a concern. There's no concern about nuclear waste. I know everyone's scared crapless of nuclear waste. Stop already. It's a fallacy to scare people. It's not. There is no concern with nuclear power, other than the fact is it can take a hell of a long time to get it built up. But anyway, I thought it was a pretty good idea. So if like look at USA, they have these huge, look at that, many schools in California. That's a huge solar power. I thought that's a great idea, man. 100%. 100%. Solar for that. I hate wind. Wind is a clown. Wind is a scam. Stop wind. Put solar panels in all these places and school parking lots. It's a great idea. It retains the heat so your car doesn't get overheat. I think it's wonderful thoughts on that. Make it all done in the U.S. Don't manufacture in China, but it's going to cost so much money. Yeah, guess what? Put Americans to work. It's a freaking Jobs Act. That's a real legit one. I think it's I think it's great. Schools. Yeah, and here's the problem: those solar panels are toxic. Yeah, well, I don't disagree with that. But I hate to say it, but so is in a landfill. I mean, the landfills are toxic. It is. We're just so the point. What I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, it's going to be, and this is what they're pushing. They're not even pushing solar. They're pushing less consumption. And if you're not prepared for that, I highly encourage you to do that. I think most people here are prepared for this, man. I don't have assets to be a customer of Wallace. Wallace says, how much in assets do I have to need to be a customer? I don't charge by the assets. Anyway, the point being is we're just going to have to deal with less consumption. Now, I'm not even sure that's the worst thing that ever happened. I don't think so. I don't like it being forced down our throats. But at the end of the day, how come I can't see how many people I got on Rumble anymore? I used to be able to see how many people on Rumble. Now I can't. I see my man New Kenny on there. And here's New Kenny. All right, so by the way, New Kenny's in Jacksonville, Florida. He's talking up solar. Wow, Jacksonville. I mean, absolutely you should have solar if you're in the high sunshine state. Good night. Why would you not? Public school is toxic. Right on, man. Absolutely. It's actually a Christmas present. What are you talking about? Yeah, well, yes, because they don't. It's not dependable. No, they did not have a fusion breakthrough. They haven't had a fusion breakthrough. No, they did not. It's all hype, man. It's the fusion breakthrough and the wormhole. All hype. They hype all this stuff like crazy. Look, I guarantee if you go back on your news, actually, let's do that. Let's go back to newspapers.com. Let's just see. I haven't done this yet. But so the hype about a wormhole is it's fake. Fake. The fusion breakthrough, fake. So let's go to newspapers.com and I share you guys. Let's make sure I'm logged in. Yep, I'm logged in. And I haven't done this yet, so I might be egg on my face. I got to share the screen. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to share screen. Let's go to fusion. All right. And then we're going to go to date. And I have no clue if anything's going to show up. I don't know. Let's just see what we got. So we're going to go to fusion. Now, fusion is a kind of music, so hopefully, you don't see any, Frank Zappa. All right, so here we go. Fusion breakthrough. Let's do this. Fusion breakthrough. Breakthrough. Let's see if anything shows up there. There we go. Hit that guy right there. Cold fusion breakthroughs, Lieutenant Paducah Sun, 1989. Let's see. Here's some 1989 fusion breakthrough. Let's see what this says. The Paducah Sun, 1989. Maybe it's for that reason many of our editors are exhibiting healthy skepticism about the reports of a fusion breakthrough with what scientists have long considered a dark horse theory. Let's see. What if fusion find is for real? This is 1989. Oh, boy. I can't take it. These guys are so full of crap, man. That's 1989. Let's fusion right here. Fusion breakthrough offers hope for man. Fusion breakthrough offers hope for man. This is from the Daily Herald, wherever the hell that is. Americans and other people of the world have felt anything but safe as a horrendous oil spill continues to drift over Prince William Sound, Alaska. The spill, of course, is not the only ecological disaster effect, blah, blah, blah. Is there a way out of these multiple threats? Yes, according to a small but highly dedicated group of scientists in Utah. The recent experiments with fusion, the same process that powers the sun and stars themselves, and we can prove that? No. Offer hope that the perfect source of power may be on Earth's horizon. It's just, these guys just full of crap for funding. This is, where was I reading the other day about general relativity? All these scientists have to bow down in front of general relativity because that's where all the money comes from, general relativity. Here's 1982. Fusion breakthrough. Scientists hail fusion breakthrough. This is 1982. And this is Plainsburg Borough. Japan, Britain, the Soviet Union, and other industrial nations are making similar experiments, but the fusion breakthrough at Princeton appeared to give the United States a current edge. So friggin' fake. All these guys are fake. Friggin' can't stand these fakers. Uh-oh, is this one in 1978? No, not a fusion breakthrough at Princeton in 1978. No way. I don't hate people. I more recently joined many other respectable newspapers in hailing a fusion breakthrough at Princeton. Yo! The enclosed story from Science magazine tells a real story. I've also enclosed what I think to be an excellent editorial by Philip Abelson. You have a crucial role to play in helping the U.S. to muddle through the realistic energy options. My optimistic hope is it will sharply improve your efforts in that area. Energy views show lack of realism. Mr. Brown, report of a fusion breakthrough proved to be a media event. 5 years of energy paralysis. Yeah, a media event, just like the wormhole thing, just like it is now. It's all fake. All fake. Yeah, it's so freaking fraudulent. And we pay these guys. Why are we paying these guys? It's all fake. Yeah, it's all media event, man. Just no different than wormhole crap. It just pisses me off. That freaking scoundrels. I'm not saying you are, Andrew, but these guys. Let's see what they say in hold on just a second. That's so freaking. It's a media play for everybody. I'm gonna go to, I haven't looked at what's up with that. Let's see. Let's go to share screen. Let's go to what's up with that. We're gonna go to share. I haven't done this here, but let's just see what they say. We're gonna go to fusion and see what we see here. Fusion, and hit enter and see what comes up recently. South Korea fusion breakthrough. Feudal fusion research. Cold fusion going commercial. Electrified fusion. Nuclear fusion. Fission hybrid. Finally, fusion about to become reality? Huh? National Ignition Facility exceeds break-even nuclear fusion. That's what's happening right here. But this is what people don't understand. They don't understand. They think it's creating positive energy. It's not. It's still taking more energy than it creates by a factor of 10. A factor of 10. It's not creating energy out of nothing. It's not. That's I forgot about that. That's exactly what it was. We'll read it here. It's not creating positive energy. It's not, they're absorbing energy, but the amount of energy it takes to produce the fusion is still 10 times the much it releases. It's not, we're going to spend so much money on this crap. It's not doing it. And we're spending money on top of money on top of money, and it's not working. It's just such a freaking fallacy. Let's go to, I forgot about that. I forgot that's what it was, is that it was absorbing a certain amount of, where did I find that article? I'm not going to be able to find off the top of my head, but I was reading this the other day too. I was like, man, these guys are clowns. Because it's just a press releases. Oh my goodness, it's creating positive energy out of nothing. We're inputting 1 and we're getting 1.1 back. No, you're not. You're putting in 10 and getting 1 back. What is it? Where was I reading this? I was reading something on this too, and it wasn't from this site. Let me just go to not even. I don't think it was here, but not even wrong. I don't think it was my man here. Where the hell was this? Well, I read a great article on this, and I was like, man, I was almost going to do a video on it, but I'm just going to try to keep my videos to just financial planning stuff. This is about the wormhole, crap. Freaking wormholes will kiss my butt. Jeez. It's like I'm going to share with you an article about financial planning too. Fusion. Normally try to avoid getting the vast topic of hype problem that exists in other subjects and string theory, but a couple I've seen recently make it hard to resist. So this guy, my man, Peter Voigt, who had written this book right here, Not Even Wrong, which I was reading, and then I got sidetracked with my anti-Einstein stuff, and now I got to go to other books. The Worship of Augustus Caesar is next on the list, and then I got hold on, I forgot I had something else over there. Now I got to find it. Hold on just a second. I just got to get rid of my book that I'm doing so I can start getting into other books to read. Ooh, by the way, the other Einstein. All right, that was my daughter read that, which is pretty cool while she's at Georgia Tech. I was glad to hear that they're reading some against Einstein, because Einstein's a clown. We all know that. It's not debatable anymore. I don't have it over there. I forgot what it was. I thought I had it down here. Hold on just a second. I can't remember. Anyway, if you guys are interested in just to understand how this works, I cannot stress enough. I've shared with you this before, this book, and this will really put your mind at ease in terms of you don't have to fall for the fakery that exists out there. And it's 15 years old now, but it's a wonderful book right here. Sustainable Energy Without the Hot Air. Galen Windsor, New Kenny. Galen Windsor. Look him up. Galen Windsor. And you will not be worried about radioactive energy, radioactive anymore. And then you can look up the real story about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you'll quickly find, there's a lot more to the story. But Josh, you must be conspiracy theorist. Well, anyone who they call that believed that JFK was not killed by a sole gunman named Lee Harvey Oswald, who just happened to be working in the book depository where John F. K. happened to be driving by. Some amazing coincidence of all sorts. They call him a conspiracy theorist. And if you still think that's conspiracy theory, not this guy, Duke Kenny. I just don't know what to tell you. And now they're saying you're a conspiracy theorist if you don't believe that the CO2 is going to kill us all. Anyway, so this book right here is 15 years old. This guy died young, unfortunately, but good guy. And he's a big greenie, man. He lived by he didn't fly. He rode his bike to work. He lived by his thoughts on the environment. But this is a easy book to read. Very good. Now, you can get it for free on PDF. Again, Sustainable Energy Without the Hot Air. But it hasn't changed much, especially wind turbines. They're such a clown show. I like solar, for heaven's sake. I like solar. If you can run your own homestead house on solar, freaking awesome. I love it. I hope to do that at some point. You're not running the whole economy on solar. And that's okay to say these things. They're not mutually exclusive. Say, oh, you don't like solar? No, I do. I fully intend to get have enough land so I can get a ground-based solar array, not on my rooftops now, on the ground. And it'd even be cool to have the tracking mechanisms. It'd be freaking awesome. But you're not going to run your whole economy on that. I will tell you though, if you're like me and you recognize that consumption has to be lessened, you're not going to be all that worried about it. You're like, maybe consuming less is good for the soul. Huh? Maybe we consume too much and that's bad for the soul. Maybe we should consume less. Maybe you shouldn't take those quick hops to freaking LA to see the Los Angeles Rams. And then we live in freaking Indianapolis and turn around and go to Indianapolis to see the Colts the following week. Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe it's good if we don't consume so much. If we keep our toasters, if we learn how to fix it and all that stuff, as opposed to throwing in the landfill. Man, that's not a bad thing. I don't think it is, actually. Maybe we go back to some of the old ways, man. If someone having a little bit of a garden, growing some of their vegetables and whatnot. Anyway, I'm freaking optimistic as all can be. Just because we consume less is being forced on us. I'm sitting there, all right. I read this thing today. Anyway, so this is a great book. You should get it. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find it real quick. Let me find Wind, because I just want to share with you what he said about wind and how such a clown show it is. And there's my man David on his bike in the UK. This guy kicks ass. He's dead, but it's such a. He didn't sell himself to the big pharma, big oil, big green. He just kicked ass. He said renewable energy without the hot air, which is great. So I want to share with you my thing on wind. Because everyone says wind is the biggest scam since Bernie Madoff with your money and Sam Bankman-Fried fried your money. Wind is the biggest scam since those two things, and the fact that the state of Maine is falling for wind just kills me deep inside. All right, 1 second. Page 32. So we're just going to give you a quick take on wind, and right here, wind. All right. If the typical wind speed is 6 meters per second, which is 13 miles per hour, the power per unit area of wind farm is about 2 watts per square meter. Did you hear that? If the typical wind speed is 6 meters per second, 6 meters per second, or 13 miles an hour. The typical wind speed is 13 miles an hour. The power per unit area of a wind farm is all of 2 watts per meter squared. All right. Let's see. If wind turbines were packed across the whole UK, and assuming 2 watts per meter squared is the correct power per unit area, converting to our favorite power units, wind, that's 200 kilowatt hours a day per person. But let's be realistic, all right? That's packed across the entirety of the UK. You would get 200 kilowatt hours per day. If we can cover the windiest 10% of the entire country with windmills, we would be able to generate 20 kilowatt hours a day per person, which is half of the power used by driving an average fossil fuel cars at 50 kilometers a day. All right, the windmills would be required to provide the UK with 20 kilowatt hours per day, amounts to 50 times the entire wind hardware of Denmark, 7 times the entire wind farms of Germany, and double the entire fleet of the world wind. Now, again, this is in 2009. However, again, to provide the UK with 20 kilowatt hours a day per person, you would need more than double the entire wind in the entire world from 15 years ago. Wind is a clown show. It ain't going to happen. All right. So that's a great, again, it's David McKay, Sustainable Energy Without the Hot Air. Let me just go back to my man, Peter Voigt, talk about fusion. All right, let's see where I normally try to avoid getting the vast topic of hype problem and other subjects other than string theory, which is a clown show. But a couple of things I've recently made hard to resist: quantum computing, quantum supremacy, how the quantum computer model revolution will change everything. What does that sound like? Oh, the fusion. Quantum computing. Oh my goodness, the wormhole, excuse me, the quantum computing in the wormhole. The publisher's summary tells that quantum computing may eventually unravel the deepest mysteries of science and solve some of humanity's biggest problems, like global warming. Just give us more money. There's not a single problem humanity faces that couldn't be addressed by quantum computing. Just give us more money. The quantum computing bubble at the Financial Times, where this guy argues a speculative bubble going on in this field, and that when exactly the bubble will pop is difficult to say. But at some point, the claims will be found out and the funding will dry up. I just hope that when the music stops and the bubble pops, the public will still listen to us physicists. Yep. Let's see. Nuclear fusion, not fission, fusion. Attempts to build a nuclear fusion-based power reactor have been going on for 70 years. Decades ago, it already become a joke that success was always 30 years off. One would think that because of this, there'd be overwhelming skepticism about new claims in the field, but there continues to be new hype all the time. The Guardian recently had a long article about the race to give nuclear fusion a role in the climate emergency. It's all around climate. If you read the article carefully, you'd realize there's no evidence of any change on the 30 years off front, with one expert describing magnetic confinement-based reactors as highly unlikely until 2050. Or another 50 years. One project that's being a lot of press is Spark, a collaboration between MIT and a private startup. Their claim seems to be that they've got a workable reactor design all ready to go. But last year finished developing the needed 20 I can't pronounce that, whatever that T stands for, high temperature superconductor magnet, and by 2025 we'll have a working nuclear reactor, putting out more energy that goes in. How long would it take before fusion energy is on the grid? By early 2030, they're saying. Just give us more money. This all seems highly implausible to me, but Bill Gates is putting money into it, and I guess we'll find out soon. For a skeptical take, click here, and that's New Energy Times. Another nuclear fusion, Mikhail Kaku tells us quantum computers could allow us to finally create nuclear fusion reactors. Dudes, they had more energy going in by a factor of 10 to 1. It ain't happening. Theoretical physicists are making a contribution to the energy crisis. See here, I can't take it, man. Look, you can believe whatever you want. I don't care. But the issue that we have to contend with as facts are none is going to happen in our lifetime. All right. So what's going to happen in our lifetime? That's what I care about. You care about. You care about your kids. Is that there are going to be more and more causes for you to say, hey, you got to consume less, and you better get ready for it because it's going to happen by hook or by crook. And if you're not ready for it, man, you're going to be in a world of hurt. All right, so I want to share with you this article that kind of set me off a little bit. Right here, if I can find it. Right here. I was actually, I seemed like another thing on that few. Hold on just a second. That I was reading the other day. I said, man, such a freaking clown show. Hold on. I thought I did on this. It's a scientific worldview .blogspot.com. James Webb Space Telescope, or whatever it's called, dumps Olber's paradox and confirms infinite universe theory. This is 12.5. I could have sworn he has something on fusion, though, on here. All right, I haven't read this yet, but paradoxes are resolved by finding the erroneous underlying assumptions. The night sky in the infinite universe is dark because light from distant galaxies loses energy over distance. Like his cosmological descendants, Olbers assumed that space was perfectly empty. The erroneous assumption was critical for Einstein's untired light theory, which is the foundation of the Big Bang. As in the Wikipedia article, the idealistic nonsense still infects cosmology as well as physics. In the real world, nothing, whether particle or wave, notice whether particle or wave, not particle and wave. Hope that means something to you. In the real world, nothing, whether particle or, not and, or wave, can travel from point A to point B without colliding with other things along the way. For light, this means a change from high energy short waves to low energy long waves, long wavelengths. Given enough distance, this means light eventually reaches the infrared regions. And finally, the really long wavelengths is detected as a cosmic microwave background, CMB. This is irrefutable evidence for energy loss over distance and makes Olbers' conjecture moot. The universe expansion in the Wikipedia article won't cut it. It's totally unneeded and appears there as the usual erroneous special pleading to save the faltering Big Bang Theory. About the I can't pronounce it, argument, the universe is static and homogeneous at a large scale. 2 points. The universe is not static. Every portion of the universe is moving with respect to the other portions. Is it dynamic? Yes. Is it evolving? No. Evolution is a property of each portion of the infinite universe, but it cannot be a property of the universe itself. The universal mechanism of evolution is univironmental determinism. What happens to a portion of the universe depends on the infinite matter with and without. Obviously, the infinite universe has no without. Everything's in it, and thus cannot evolve as an entity, although the entities with are continually forming via convergence and dissipating. Nothing, including the infinite universe, is homogeneous at any scale. Anyway, the whole point is not to say that guy's right. It's to say all these people who say we have this solved, the Big Bang, that we came from a primordial soup. No one knows. No one knows. And why is it so hard for people to say, I don't know? It's okay. It's okay. You know, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. Does that mean you're anti-Jesus? No. It's a pagan holiday. I'm not sure we should really be celebrating this, frankly, but whatever, man. And it's so deep ingrained. But I mean, if you look at it, you're like, I don't know. But Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. And as such, we're like, well, all right, it's in the culture now. But we don't know when Jesus was born. There's no proof that he was born. We don't know. And we can't go back in time. Does that mean you're anti-Jesus? No. Does that mean you're anti the birth of Christ? No. Does that mean you think Jesus wasn't born as virgin birth? No. No. Does that mean Mother Mary, Jesus didn't have a brother? No, he did, James. In fact, I was just sharing my family today. The book of James, which seems to rebut Paul, or Paul actually to James, is only 2 pages in the New Testament. Isn't that weird? The book of James, 2 pages, where Paul's all over it. And James is very explicit that faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. I invite you to read the book of James, man. I tell you, at some point you almost got to say, have we been corrupted? I'm just going to bust out. This is a KJV here. So I got lots of different Bibles, obviously, as you should too. You know, NIV, KJV, Amplified, you name it. Let's read the book of James. Remember, the Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Notice Paul isn't in there. But Peter's not in there. But James comes before Peter. Okay, well, this isn't my normal Bible I read, so I got to bust out with it. I thought it was James came before Peter, right before Peter. Let's see, James right before Peter. Just that. Okay, there we go. Oh, are these the books that the KJV got rid of? Yes, they are. I think. Interesting. Lamentations, Job, House, I'm not sure what this is. Anyway, interesting. All right, so let's go to James. There we go. Oh, that's what I was going to say too. I was reading. Anyway, I'm not going to, because this is for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Righteousness of God. This is the reason I don't read this one, because the old English stuff. Oh, it's a Shakespearean. I just did like. So anyway, but wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his own way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of a man he is. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continue therein, he not being a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man should be blessed indeed. A doer of the work. Doer of the work. Very interesting. If any man among you seem to be religious and brideth not his tongue, this is where James kicks ass, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain. What? What? Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless, the orphans and widows in their affliction, to keep himself unspotted from the world. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Who am I to say? That's what James says. I didn't say it. I'm just going from James. I didn't say faith without works. I'm just reading what James said. How dare I? So I think we probably need to say, hey, are we doing enough to serve? I don't know. I know I'm not. I tell you that right now. Seems like I have something else I want to say along those lines too. Where was I reading this? Ooh, let me share something else here. Finnegan, you big old knucklehead. I was reading it. Was it this? No, it wasn't that. Yeah, I can't remember where I was reading it from. It was yes, I do. I'm not going to find it. Anyways, the guy was saying he was basically, you plant a seed in soil, you shape a sword on an anvil, you get strong by pushing up weights. All these things are forms of resistance. You can't, shape a sword just banging it in the air. You got a piece of metal. You need an anvil to shape it. The anvil serves as resistance. You can't just plant a seed on a table and it's going to grow. There's no resistance there. You need resistance to strengthen. You can't just go like this, bench press. There's nothing there. You need resistance. You need a bar, you need weight. That's how you strengthen. And this guy was arguing is like, why are we so afraid of resistance? Why are we so afraid of things that stand in our way? It strengthens us. And I just read this morning. I was like, oh my goodness, that's such a good thing. Don't be threatened by resistance. Don't be threatened by it, man. It's resistance is what makes you strong. Now, look, I don't want resistance any more than the next guy. But instead of sitting there saying, God, why you do this to me? Or why did you allow this to happen? Maybe we should say, God, I'm not sure why you allowed this to happen, but obviously this is happening for me to get strong. Why, where, I don't know. But I'll let God figure that out because he has a plan. I don't know what it is. And I mean, look, who am I to say? My 4 kids are alive and healthy. We got full belly. We're living in heat. I get it. But think about it like that. Like, man, the resistance is a way for me to get strong. I don't know how. But as opposed to the resistance, oh my goodness. This is the problem we have in America. This is why we're so weak. There hasn't been much resistance. This is the concern I have, man. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we're just talking about the state of affairs among the youngins. It just seems a lot of kids are emotionally challenged. You know what I'm saying? And we're like, is it the screens they're on? The screen time? Is it too much TV? Is it too much? Just. And I think it's the ease of life. I do, and it just it's life. They don't know how many kids work. I don't know. I don't know. I just we're both kind of thinking maybe it's a screen time. I don't know what's the screen. Maybe it's all the vast MMRs and all the stuff they put in our body. I don't know. I think it all has something to do with it, but I think it's the ease of life that a lot of people are living in this affluent society that we have, that there's no demands on these people, and there's no resistance. So life is easy. And so they still have resistance that is out there, because there's always going to be resistance, but they don't know how to deal with it. And I think about my own kids. I mean, hell's bells, man. By the time I worked, anyway. All right, so let's go to this article. I don't know. We'll see. I want. How come I can't see how many people are on here? It's weird. I used to be able to see on Rumble how many people I had on here. All right, so I want to go to this article that was interesting, and Pablo and there we go. So share this. Surprised not that many people here. Usually tonight. Usually on when I was in at my bar, maybe it's because of the bar, Thanksgiving night and Christmas night were booming nights, man. Booming. You make tons of money on Thanksgiving and Christmas. I always work Thanksgiving and Christmas. Booming. It's crazy. Anyway, so hey, Dustin, you've been around for a while. I know you had a 1-year-old. So when you first jumped on here a long time ago, you did not have a baby. So have you recently, obviously, a 1-year-old? Hey, well, congrats, brother. That friggin' crushes. You're in California, right, Dustin? I think that's you. All right, so let me share with you this article. So my man, Alan Roth, had written the 4% rule became a whole lot easier because he was using tips and blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. This guy says the 4% rule did not become a whole lot easier. And it was a weird article. And I whatever. But I just want to go down to a couple of reasons why. The flaw of real return projections. Alan Roth's conclusions are based on real return projections, which ignore some important truths of retirement. The CPI is a driver of real returns, is not an adequate measure of inflation. So I'm like, yeah, hey, here we go. It ignores human behavior and serendipity. Like, what? We want the CPI now to look at human behavior and serendipity? I said, okay. I don't know who this guy is right here. But Alan, apparently, I guess this guy's been around a while, because Alan, commented, I appreciated, when I first started out, you give me some advice. So this guy's an old school guy. This is an odd. Anyway, so inflation ignores human behavior and serendipity. Actually, inflation doesn't ignore human behavior, because I'll share with you in just a second. And more systematically, it ignores the fact that the CPI does not measure spending inflation. It measures changing prices for a theoretical basket of goods. So I'm like, all right, I'm digging this guy. It doesn't measure spending inflation. I like that. It does, actually, and I'll share with you how. But I'm thinking, okay, this guy's onto it. This guy's getting it. When I see projections that assume that every person's spending increases at the same flawed rate of change, I shudder. Well, yeah, I mean, come on, dude. I agree, but you can't hold BLS accountable for that. Never mind poor Alan Roth. I mean, anyway. I was raised by a simple man. I'm just a simple man. Might call me a redneck. I reckon that I am. But the things going on that make me mad down to the core. We worked like a dog to make ends meet, and crooked politicians and crime in the street, and I'm madder than hell, and I ain't gonna take it no more. We tell our kids to just say no, then some panty waste judge lets a drug dealer go. He throws out the key, and he lets them out, and he puts them back out of the town. If I had my way, I'd take him out to the swamp and let the I can't remember how it goes. That's Charlie Daniels, Simple Man. Not Leonard Skinner's Simple Man, Charlie Daniels, Simple Man. All right. I was raised by a simple man who had an uncanny ability to ask the right question. When I showed him the Monte Carlo simulations, his response was, "Don't give me that crap. I got one life. How's that going to work out?" A few years later, I visited him in Florida, and he complained his Social Security wasn't keeping up with inflation, which inspired me to begin a research project that resulted in my award-winning paper, The Hedonic Pleasure Index, the new model for spending inflation. I don't know what hedonic means, and I'm like, dude, if you got to use these words, let's bring it back down to us caveman. And I don't know. I'm sure it's fun to look up. But anyway, hedonic. When I explained my findings to my dad, or to Alan Roth, he said they wrung all the fun out of inflation. And he was right. Everything that makes us human has been removed from the CPI calculation. The BLS even tells us the index measures what it takes to maintain a constant standard of living. All right. And after 40 years, the BLS embarked on extracting life. There's no joy left in Mudville. I'm like, what the hell is this? Is just weird. I'm like, what are you talking about? Let me explain. In 1983, the BLS began a decades-long change to the CPI calculation. You know, they started, there was in 1978, and then it went into effect in 1981. So, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Now, the commission identified 4 sources for the estimate. Let's see. So the Boston Commission in 1996 said CPI had been overstated by 1.1% based due to the biases that exist in the Bureau's measurement procedures, which I agree with that. I just think they got to the different conclusion from the overstatement of inflation. The commission identified 4 sources: consumer product substitution, consumer outlet substitution, new goods entering the market, and quality changes. I completely agree with all that. As those changes found their way into the calculations, the BLS managed to shave off 1.1% off CPI. All right. And no one noticed. Okay. We ignore these changes at our peril. We know that the Fed longs for a 2% inflation target, and the BLS continues to search for ways to extract items not considered a price change from the index. Looking to a benchmark that is actively being toyed with is not a good long-term strategy. 100% agree with that. 100%. Looking to a benchmark that is actively being toyed with. The BLS assumes we all respond to changing prices in the same way by substituting products or changing the ways we shop, which we do, 100%. While many do respond that way, I do not. I guarantee you do. I guarantee you're no longer using your flip phone, you're using this. I guarantee in your car you have a backup camera, you have air conditioning, you no longer have whatever they used to have in 1975. I guarantee this is just, it's freaking idiotic. To say the BLS assumes we all respond to changing prices the same way, I do not. Yes, you do. Guarantee flipping to you. Come on, dude. I guarantee you type this on a freaking word processor via your laptop as opposed to an old-fashioned typewriter. Well, let's see. I buy what I want because I don't like many of the substitutes. You'll never find me in the big box stores looking in vain for the savings on aisle 183. Okay, well, that's against an idiotic thing I'm sitting there in pure like, what? I don't know who this guy is. And as such, the only reason he was able to write this, he must have some street cred in my business. I don't know who he is, though. But anyway, more insidious, however, is how new products and quality changes are measured. For most items in the basket of goods, the BLS uses hedonic regression analysis to remove the impact of quality from the price index. Its initial focus was on goods, but services are now considered for the same reason. Quality changes are not the same as price changes. There's a lot better quality of product for a lot of things today than before. You can't argue with this, my friends. You can't. You can say something. You cannot. Don't tell me old houses are built better than new houses. I don't want to hear it. The insulation, the way these things are put together are so much more efficient in terms of energy efficiency than they were in the past. It's just that simple, man. Dual pane windows, they're just more efficient. The modern building is better. Now, are they doing it with cheap, immigrant labor? Yes. But you can't tell me these manufactured homes are worse than freaking stick-built homes from 50 years ago. I just don't buy it. For some items, the BLS extraction method is more intuitive than whatever this hedonic regression is. Automobiles. The BLS uses the manufacturer's sticker price instead of the hedonic regression to extract quality changes. The fact he says hedonic in 3 straight sentences, I just want to take an anvil and drop it on my head. Consider the following items that are removed from the auto. I mean, look, if you're not going to define what a not very well used term is, you're trying too hard to be fancy schmancy, good time rock and roll. Define the term so people know what the hell you're talking about. Well, if you don't know, then you're not smart enough. No, this is Webb Du Bois stuff. We're going to speak high so people think we're so smart. No. People don't think you're smart because you're speaking language no one understands. People think you're smart when you're speaking language people can understand. Freaking don't do this, man. Oh, I hate that crap. I'm going to speak so smart. People say, wow. That's what I thought. Hedonic, the pursuit of pleasure. That's what I thought, Denise. Is it not? I don't think cheap laborers come from Mexico anymore. I think it's coming from Guatemala. In fact, I think laborers will be going back to Mexico because AMLO's crushing down there. Freaking cannot believe I'm saying this about a socialist president. I'll take AMLO any day of the week over freaking Sniffy Joe. By the way, whatever happened to Peru? Why is that not on the front page? Isn't that weird? Remember when Honduras had a coup and took over their socialist dictator? And everyone's like, oh my goodness, Peru, they got rid of their socialists and no one cares. It's weird. What the hell was the Ukrainian flag? Better be quiet. I just find it weird. The Ukrainian flag was in the Congress. I found it weird that Kevin McCarthy had Ukrainian flag, lapels, and a little thing. I find it weird that a guy said, who are these Congress people who are not clapping for Zelensky? We got to know who they are and ask them why. I'm like, no one finds that odd if you don't clap for Zelensky. Look, Zelensky's a puppet. I get it, but I got to be careful here because this will be off YouTube, when we're done, but it'll be on Rumble. I just find this to be very odd to me that we're bringing a guy who's banning Christian churches, banning opposition political parties, and we're it's a one world government, man. I don't know what else to tell you. If you can't see that, I don't know what. I mean, this is just weird. And we literally have Democrats and Republicans together saying, if you don't clap for this guy, essentially you're a traitor. I'm like, dude, this is the wonder why Mark Twain said patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. It's sickening to me. Oh, you want the Ukrainians to die? No, I just don't. In fact, I don't want the Ukrainians to die 100%. That's why, I'm just not going to say anything else. All right. Consider the following items that are removed from the automobile price index: automatic emergency brake systems, connected mobile apps, and digital keys. All right, whatever. These are removed from the automobile price index because they're using a manufacturer's sticker price instead of hedonic regression to exact quality changes. Yeah, whatever that means, I'll go with the BLS there, guy. All right. I can't wait until they drive perfect driverless cars. And you guess that those improvements will not be included in the calculation of the price index either. It's included in the freaking manufacturer's recommended sales price, MSRP. MSRP? That's what the price is included because consumers, of course, pay for these quality improvements. They just aren't reflected in CPI. Yes, they are. They're totally reflected. Yet real projections assume we don't buy quality improvements and behavior conforms to behavior model. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Conforming to the BLS spending models is impossible because you can't remove the quality enhancements from your purchases. It's in the price. It's in the price. Oh my goodness. It's in the price. But for those who try by hanging on to their car for 20 years will feel they're falling behind their neighbors or reaching beyond a constant standard of living by reasserting fun. All right, I don't even know what that means. Anyway, so this is what kind of cracked me up. All right, I will measure spending inflation with the retirees' only obstacle, but there are others. All right, let's take a look here. And he says retirement studies that economists use to establish spending patterns in retirement do not include an important subgroup of Americans called free spenders. Unfortunately, spendthrifts are rarely considered in retirement spending studies because they don't track their spending. They just spend. The result is publicly available spending data amidst those who best at spending the spendthrifts. I I don't know that to be true. I've never heard this. So we don't track the spendthrifts because the spendthrifts don't track their spending. And that means the retirement established spending patterns aren't attractive. Huh? I've never heard this before. And it might be true. And it makes sense logically. So, well, they're not tracking their spending. How are they going to be the models? Or they're just doing a wild ass guess of their spending and they're tracking that and they don't know. Like I talk to people all the time. How much you spend? Yeah, I put $7,000 a month in there. Well, we already have healthcare in another category. We already have the mortgage in another category. We already have all these property taxes and income tax in another category. Are you spending $7,000 a month on top of that? Oh no, if you're using that, it's only $4,000 a month. Well, the thing it says right in the software, don't include these other things. So your wild ass guess is $7,000 a month, and we're using 3 things on top of that. So we're coming out with $10,000 a month. You see what I'm saying? So are these spendthrifts? Are they not at all included in the surveys? Of course they are. Wild ass guess. Yeah, but then this is what cracks me up. Everyone is different, but as a rule, retirees have different consumption patterns than pre-retirees. Americans over the age of 62 spend an average of 11.7% on their budget on medical care compared to 8.5% for those under 62. And 47% on housing compared to 42% for Americans who are working age. Where to get those numbers? The CPIE for the elderly would track old folks' inflation better than CPIU. But even WIT would fail to address the most important spending factor, human behavior. So he uses the CPIE. He has that, and he uses it saying 47% on housing is spent because of CPIE. All right, so I want to kind of go down here. And then he gets mad at Alan Roth because we don't have longevity. Average life expectancies measure the age and only half the measured population expected to die. I get that. Reflections and declines of other income sources put pressure on static models that require ladders to be honored. I don't know why he got his being a bond against Alan Roth. Look, I take issue for Alan Roth significantly in other places. Alan Roth kind of said, called me, he basically said I was a quack. And he didn't say it explicitly. It was along those lines. So, and I said, okay, because I challenged him on his inflation stuff. But this way, cognitive decline, including the inability to manage money and make wise decisions, are very likely to expose the risk of CPI-linked investments' limited growth potential. Health shocks or broad decline in health that depletes the pocketbook. That's just weird. I mean, I'm not sure why he's blaming Alan Roth for that. Anyway, so I want to share with you something here because I want to show you my comment because this was just weird to me. And I said, what? Let's see if I can't find my comment here. Yeah. All right, sweet. All right, so I'll show you my comment because I can I share this thing already? Oh yeah, go down here. Hold on a second. Who's else? No other comments on Rumble? Jeremy's on a Rumble? What the hell? Yeah, so New Kenny on Rumble says there's a thing called transfer switch where you hook up your solar photovoltaic array with a grid and then you can switch it out. That is still grid tied though. And you got to be very, very careful because you don't want to electrocute alignment. I'm just telling you right now, just because you have a transfer switch doesn't mean the utility is going to accept you going onto their grid. I'm telling you, Maine has stopped. Some places in Maine have stopped taking new constituents added to their grid, transfer switch or not. I'm just telling you right now, because they can't control your transfer switch. You can control your transfer switch. Your transfer switch is when the grid is down, you click the transfer switch and you go on your battery pack. That's how a transfer switch works. In the interim, when the grid is on, you're pushing volts back into the grid wires and they can't take it. They don't have the capacity, to, at least that I'm aware of, to switch that off for you. And even if they did, do you think they want to have that technology for each and every individual unit? Say, okay, now go down there to Scanlon, now go down there to New Kenny. No. So just because you have a transfer switch doesn't mean you're going on grid. It doesn't mean you're going to be an on-grid, off-grid with a transfer switch. It doesn't mean that. Anyway, the point being is, I'm just telling you, if you're getting solar panels, I'm all for it. get the flipping battery packs. It ain't cheap. I get it. I don't get. I was talking to a guy in San Diego, nice guy. He's getting solar. I said, why would you not invest another $10,000 in solar in the batteries? I don't get it, man. They're already doing it. Get the whole thing. All right, let's keep going. So I want to share this comment I had. All right. So Jim writes, this is me. So look at what Alan Roth said. So, I mean, he's like, dude, first, Jim, I want to publicly acknowledge how much I appreciate your advice when I became a financial planner 20 years ago. So, like, James Shambo was a mentor to freaking Alan. And it's the weirdest thing. So I said, Jim writes, retirement studies that economists use to establish spending patterns in retirement do not include an important subgroup of Americans, free spenders. I said, evidence, please. I've never heard this. I've looked at the BLS. I've looked at HRS. I've looked at Consumer Expenditure Survey. I looked at there's another one I'm missing, HHS. I can't remember. I've never heard that they exclude free spenders. I've never heard that. Weird. I had a chuckle out of CPI, quote, CPI, the driver of real returns is not an adequate measure of inflation. And then saying we should use CPI because so basically he says CPI we shouldn't use because it's not an adequate measure of inflation. But then he says we should use CPIE for the elderly would track old folks' inflation better than CPIU. Yet he acknowledges that CPIE weights 47.7% on housing. Almost half of CPIE is allocated to housing. And I said, is his dad, the simple man, really spending nearly half of his spending on housing? I highly suspect not. Why? Because housing is primarily weighted towards owner's equivalent rent of residence, which is 32% of the entirety of CPIE. Another 4.62% goes towards rent of primary residence. This is the change the BLS made in 1978 using OER for housing. Now, if one has no mortgage, are we really to believe that 50% of his spending is going to housing? Come on, man. Even if one has a mortgage, the vast majority of mortgages are fixed. So why in the good Lord's name would one assume nearly 50% of inflation is attributed to housing? By the way, the second highest weight for CPIE is transportation at 14.5%. Of that, nearly half is for the purchase of a new or used vehicle. Is his dad actually buying a new or used car each year? I doubt it. Now, I have huge issues with Alan's take on inflation, which I won't get into here, but I found this article to be odd. Seems he's holding Alan accountable for things that have no financial planner can address. Things like human risk. If we had to account for that in financial planning, we might as well all hang it up and go home. And then my man Blanchett, I think Jim's critique of Alan is completely off base. Alan lays out his assumptions, the analysis is sound. I was honestly shocked when I read Jim's assessment. This guy says, me too. This guy says, me too. What the hell? It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, all right. I just posted a video out there on my other channel, John, which I'm not sure if you're on. I literally just posted as a repost from 2019 how this guy was saying he can get $2,600 a month from dividends. I said that's pretty cool. George from West Virginia. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%, Rick. These same hippies who protested the Vietnam War now want to a war with Russia. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm not saying this pulverizer. I'm not saying that. How dare I? What is hedonic regression? It's the use of regression model to estimate the influence that various factors have on the price of a good or sometimes the demand for a good. That explains it, David. Oh, Andrew, we can be the police and financiers of the world. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. The military is the cops of the globalists. How many countries has China invaded other than through economic exploitation? Not many I'm aware of. Russia. When's the last time? I mean, you can say Crimea in Ukraine. Have they invaded anything else? I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, look, I'm not saying Russia's the good guys, but can we stop this? China, Russia, what else? Friggin' what else is out there? Who's the only other country invading other countries? You know, we hear about Turkey invading Greece at some point, or maybe the North Syria. Oh, all right, but I mean, what else? Iran, Iraq invading Iran. I mean, literally, who is the only invaders? It's the U.S. dudes. I think we got to recognize we are the bad guys when it comes to importing our beliefs onto other countries, and we just got to stop. For 1 year, what if we just did not spend what they have 800 billion on this new thing for the military? 800 billion, 100 over. We've given Ukraine twice as much this year as the annual Russian military defense budget. Can you believe that? We've given Ukraine twice the Russian annual defense budget. We don't have this money. I mean, it's an empire, and it's not an American empire. This isn't America. These are not us. That's why they want Trump gone so badly, because Trump was America. For all Trump's faults, and I got many with him, I'm still not sure he wasn't part of it. I'm telling you, I still find a lot of stuff with Trump is odd. But at the end of the day, either he served his role, they want him out, or he went again. I don't know. I'd support Trump in 2024. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, Trump or bust. I certainly don't think God chose Trump. I don't believe that in the least. But anyway, I like Trump better than the other guy. But I'm still not convinced Trump is not in on it. My inclination is Trump wasn't, but I won't be shocked if when I'm in the pearly gates we found out Trump is part of it. But I don't think he is. I do think all these George Bush, Mitt Romney, all these other guys, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, absolutely, all these guys are in on it. Biden's, of course. Anyway, the point being is, what if we just did not spend for 1 year on a military budget? You think they'd all be? I mean, other than salaries and whatnot, and just said, no, we're not doing this anymore. I mean, just think how much peace would be in the world if the U.S. stopped. Does that mean you're not patriotic? No. It means you are patriotic. You don't want our people dying for their freaking foreign enterprise. 58,007 people, all men, except for, I think, for 7 women, died in Vietnam. 58,000. Men. Never mind how many died in Iraq, Afghanistan. Not that many died in Panama, but still 19, I think, something like that. It's sick, man. How many people died in Lebanon when the Marines got bombed? It's sick. Are we safer because of that? Hell no. It's a sick country that says this is acceptable behavior. It's not. Now we're sending freaking battleships into China, to tell China we're here to protect Taiwan. I don't blame Taiwan. Though. Look, this is what you told us when we signed on for the globalist cabal after World War II. But I hate to say it, man. The Indians relied on us, the American Indians, and we sold them out. So, our history is of selling people down we sold Afghanistans, we sold the Iraqis out. Why Taiwan rely on us? I don't know. I guess they have to. Do we really think China's chomped at the bit to invade Washington, D.C.? I don't. China's like, dude, you guys are dead anyway. You guys are China's dying, for heaven's sake, man. Anyway. It's disgusting. Oh, dude, totally. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. 100%. And here I was, my ignorant self, get rid of Citizens United or whatever the hell it was. Let corporations get money. And now I just recognize it's such a scam. It's such a scam. Lockheed Martin. Who's the biggest beneficiaries of the war machine? It's the Lockheed Martins. Look, my granddad retired from there. I deal with tons of people from Martin Marietta, Lockheed. I mean, I get it. All these guys are righteous. No one's. I was in the army. I worked for USA. We benefited from the war machine. You know what I'm saying? No one's sitting there saying you guys are evil or I'm evil. We're just we're just cogs in the machine. But you can't deny the fact that the war is very good for some businesses. Dead people is very good for some businesses, and the more we spend on war machine, the more it goes to these big businesses who turn around and lobby. I mean, it's no different than teachers' unions. It's the same thing. The teachers' unions, hey, we need money for school. Well, your schools aren't doing very well. Yeah, we need more money. The more money we get, the worse your schools are. Yeah, that's why we need more money. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah. I was reading a book my man wrote about Peaks Island, where I grew up. Let's see if I can't find it. Just real quick, when I was talking about that 4% rule, the article is you just don't put your trust in financial advisors, dudes, myself included. You got to trust yourself, man. Now, what I do for people is I help them clean up their thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like they're all over the place. And I say, look, let's get a focus. I don't tell these guys what to do. I don't tell them how to invest their money. I like to keep it simple, stupid. I'm just like, dude, because I'm a caveman. I'm a caveman. Serbia and Kosovo. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's Serbia and Kosovo because, why could that be a problem? Oh, yeah, because the American tyranny of our military rules. Remember, Hillary was ducking under cover from sniper fire, just like Sniffy Joe. What did he say about his uncle got a Purple Heart? The lies are so much and so many. It's insane. Anyway, so I was reading my man. Let's see if I can't find this book about Peaks Island. Have you read my book on Peaks Island? Hope you have. It's a good book. Yeah, some people don't like it. Well, that's the thing. I was listening to this guy, his YouTube channel today, Jesus Words Only, talking about Baal. Baal, Baal, who was born on the 25th of December. And it's very interesting. The pagans, and I haven't. And anyway, so this guy's YouTube channel. I was listening to some Chuck Berry earlier. Chuck Berry kicked ass. Freaking love me some Chuck Berry. Yeah, right here. Oops. Yeah. I'm not gonna find it. Anyway. Oh man. Pagan origin of December 25th in Jesus Words Only is the YouTube channel. Very interesting. Yeah, pagan origins of December, and Baal comes up there. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, so let me go back to this guy. See if I can't find it. Wassail, 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 the ba 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 ba. Wassail. Oh, jeez. Wassail, wassail, wassail. That's the Christmas Revels. Christmas Revels. This book. Okay. Wassail, 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 wassail. There we go. All right, so here's growing up island, I actually knew this guy's brother, Dennis Morrill. He and I went to school together. This guy's a couple years older than me. You can get a Kindle Unlimited for free. A memoir of Peaks Island childhood. In fact, it's funny because a lot of the people he talks to, I know, well, or at least I know of. Again, he was about 5 years older than me. His uncle got killed in Vietnam, and like I think he was getting ready to come back. Like he was like, I don't know, just a couple days away from coming back or something like that, and he got killed. Ah, the freaking scumbags, dude. The whole thing, freaking the Jim Morrison's dad. Have you heard that story about Jim Morrison's dad with the what got us into Vietnam? The lie that got us into, I can't remember what it was. And don't forget the Tet Offensive, we won big time. Walter Cronkite lying about it. The end of Vietnam War, the Tet Offensive, and then the Jim Morrison's dad was the guy who made some lie, but I forgot what it was. It's just interesting. Just so we can go to war. All right. What else, guys? Christmas is here. Let's say quick prayers, and it's all good in the hood, man. And Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for just your being. And regardless of the date that your son was born, you gave your son for us to be the true light of the world. We celebrate his birth today, the light of the world, for us to all to follow. But we can't follow him without committing ourselves in the actions that we do. And the actions that we do sometimes mean pain, resistance, and may we just give us the strength, Lord, to recognize the resistance is how we get strong and build our faith. This world wasn't meant to be easy. To follow you is certainly not easy, especially when the world is run by devils. But give us the strength to overcome, to recognize the resistance thrown in front of us is to build us strong, so that we may live with you in your reign for eternity, forever and ever. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. Lord is good, my friends. God is good always. And you should never forget that. Easy to forget. Easy to forget, especially when we're fat, dumb, and happy. But man alive, dudes. I wouldn't trade being right here where I am at this time in the world for any other. No, I'd rather be where I am, just a caveman in my t-shirt and my dogs, than the king of the world 100 years ago. Don't take that for granted, dudes. Don't take it for granted. With that said, don't get so caught up in this world that you forget what we're supposed to do. Is to be the beacon of hope for others. And you don't get others by, we're all going to die. You get, in fact, I think, I'm not going to be able to read James. I'm going to go to Bible Gateway. I just can't read the King James Bible. Yeah, Bible Gateway. And we're going to look at James because James says it explicitly. And we're going to look at NIV. Oh my goodness, NIV, how dare you? James and NIV. So let's go to, how dare you? How dare you love toleration and evolution, Z? You're banned for life. How dare you? I don't tolerate people who are tolerating. Come on. You don't actually believe we came from a primordial soup, that lightning hit, and thus here we are? You actually believe that? It's okay if you do. I find it weird. Like, it's just nothing. I don't. Yeah, but Black Sabbath, dude. Black Sabbath. Into the Void. Oh my goodness. You don't believe that, dude. You say, yes, you do. I'm saying, do you believe that? It's okay. I'm not going to ban you. I'm not going to yell at you. I don't get it. It's weird. All right, so let's read the book of James. Let's go to book list. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Remember that? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Right before Peter, here comes James. And we'll just go to Taming the Tongue. Oh, man. Trials and Temptations. Let's just, take pride in their high position. Believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant. A blossom falls and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away even while they go about their business. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised. When tempted, he should say, no one should say, God is tempting you, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it's full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be the kind of first fruits of all he created. Take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger, because anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all the moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. The evil moral filth, pornography. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. We already talked about this. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure, faultless is this: to look after the orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted in the world. To keep oneself from being polluted by the world. All right, hold on. So I want to go. Hold on a second. Don't show favoritism. All right. For he who said you should not commit adultery also said you should not murder. If you do not commit adultery but do commit murder, you have become a lawbreaker. For whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at just one point is guilty of breaking it. Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by that law gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment. What good is it if someone claims to have faith but no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes or daily food. And you say, hey, guy, go out there and stay warm and be well fed. In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But some will say, you have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I'll show you my faith by my deeds. You cannot square that with Paul, man. You believe there's one God? Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. You foolish person, do you want evidence that faith without deeds is useless? Was it not our father Abraham considered righteous for what he did when he offered his son Isaac? You see that his faith and his actions were working together, and his faith was made complete by what he did. And the scripture was fulfilled that says Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. And he was called God's friend. You see that a person is considered righteous by what they do and not by faith alone. In the same way, not even Rahab, the prostitute, considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction. As the body with the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. Oh, man, James. Taming the tongue. I just wonder, there's another thing. You got to tame the tongue. This thing right here. Submit yourself to God. Hold on a second. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Come near to God and he'll come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourself before the Lord and he'll lift you up. Do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them speaks against the law and judges it. When you judge the law, you are not keeping it, but sitting in judgment on it. There is only one lawgiver and judge, the one who is able to save and destroy. But you, who are you to judge your neighbor? Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we'll go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why? You even not know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live to do this or that. Yeah, 100%. 100%. James is crushing. He has where I just so. Elijah was a human being, even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. Again, he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produces crops. My brothers and sisters, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring that person back, remember this. Whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover a multitude of sins. I must have missed. Anyway, basically said you cannot be of this world. I'm missing it here. Maybe it's here. The cries of the harvest are really okay. Be paid the toll is coming. See how the farmer waits for the yield and it's yield the valuable crop. You too be patient, stand firm, because the Lord is coming, is near. Do not grumble against one another. Okay, I guess that's it. Yeah. All right. Anyway, there's a part in there I was just reading. I was like, man, I forgot what it was, but I thought it was from James, where he says, "You cannot be of this world. You cannot be of this world." In terms of what you gather in this world reduces you in the next or something. I can't remember. I think it was James. It was great. All right. It's all good. It's all good. I follow your financial advice. I love LL. LL Cool J. Not sure who LL is. It's all good. All right. You gotta go, friends. Merry Christmas. God bless. We'll see ya Wednesday at noon Eastern time.